The Commons Committee on Standards has ordered Culture Secretary Marie Miller to repay £5,800 and apologise to MPs. The £5,800 is to cover overclaiming of expenses on her mortgage, after she failed to reduce the amount claimed as interest rates and her repayments fell. But the MPs have cleared her of the central charge of deliberately submitting claims for expenses to which she was not entitled. Mrs. Miller is expected to make a personal statement to MPs at 12 o'clock BST. The committee suggested that she had tried to argue her case before the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards in a legalistic way. She should apologise by personal statement on the floor of the House for her attitude to the Commissioner's inquiries, it concluded. If the Commissioner had been able swiftly to establish the facts relating to Mrs. Miller's mortgages, and had been able to gather the documentation which would have allowed her, and has allowed us, to judge the relationship between the changes in bank base rate and the interest charged to Mrs. Miller, this might have been a relatively minor matter, the committee said. Instead, it said, the investigation had been mired in delay and difficulty, arising from incomplete documentation and fragmentary information. Mrs. Miller has to carry significant responsibility for that. Sources close to Mrs. Miller told BBC News Channel chief political correspondent Norman Smith that the overpayment of mortgage expenses was an administrative error which she had herself brought to the committee's attention. They also rejected claims that she adopted a legalistic attitude towards the inquiry, arguing that the report backs her version of events and has effectively cleared